Hey everyone, it's Ashley Anderson back with Nick Tammaro. He's a handicapper, track announcer, and the morning line maker for the Breeders Cup. You'll also recognize him from our TwinSpires expert pick videos. We just got done talking about the Breeders Cup Dirt Mile, and we're going to switch gears and look at the Breeders Cup Distaff for fillies and mares. We've got a talented field of 8 highlighted by Nest, the 9-5 morning line favorite. Nick, is there any reason to doubt Nest ahead of this race? She has been on a tear since winning or finishing second against the boys in the Belmont.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. I think there are going to be a lot of people that probably assume that I'm just against Nest because I don't like her, and that's not the case. I have a lot of respect for the job that Todd Pletcher has done and how well Nest has run on multiple occasions so far in 2022. The problem is that this is a much different objective than anything she's ever faced. And I know she ran in the Belmont. I know she won the Alabama, and she won a grade 1 in between, but these are older mares. This is a significant class test relative to what she's done thus far. And I just think she's a bad gamble. I think she's the wrong bet at 8 or 9-5 in this race with so much talent signed on. You know, with that said, one of the things you have to admire about Nest is that as her 3-year-old season has gone on, she's become much more tactical in terms of where she can be positioned early. And in dirt racing, that's always going to help. So if you juxtapose her form and running style with a filly like her stablemate Malathot, who's been more of a grinding one run off the pace type, it's obvious that Nest has shown she has a pretty tremendous amount of talent. So with plenty of respect for her, I would say I'm willing to bet against Nest.
So you're going to bet against, are you looking at Malathot or are you looking at another 4-year-old?
Yeah, I picked Malathot. I kind of feel as if I married myself to Malathot a while ago. And I will admit, just from my own personal wagering and my own approach to this division, I really thought that after the Chuvie at Saratoga, it was pretty clear that Clairiere was the boss amongst this group of horses. And then the Personal Ensign happened. And obviously something went awry with Clairiere in the gate. She was a total no-show. She now comes into this race off about a 70-day layoff. Malathot took that opportunity to really springboard herself back, I think, into the top rank in this particular division with a win that day in very Malathot-like fashion. She grinded away from the half-mile pole home and eventually wore down search results, came back with a really nice win in the Spinster, her 3rd win over the Keeneland main track. So there's obviously no issue whatsoever with her on this surface. My only concern with Malathot is what happens if the pace gets particularly quick in here. But I will say in that scenario, in John Velasquez, I trust he's going to take her back and let her settle and then make one run. One thing that is really notable in watching Malathot run is that as a 3-year-old, she was a horse that you really had to get after. You really, really had to ride her like a bicycle horse, as they say. And she seems much handier now. So I think she's matured. I think she's developed. And big credit to the Todd Pletcher barn for having 2 horses at this level in this kind of a position in this kind of race.
So you brought up Clairiere, who did hit the gate in the Personal Ensign, and she lost as the favorite. Are you not willing to throw out that race? You think it is definitely Malathot now who has claimed her stake as the better horse in this race?
I think Clairiere is a very interesting bet in here as well. You know, if the Breeders' Cup Distaff had happened a couple of days before the Personal Ensign, and we even put Nest in there off of her Alabama win, Clairiere would have been about 8-5 in that race. So I think it's a little unfair. It's probably even a little foolish to dismiss Clairiere because of that Personal Ensign, mainly because we really don't exactly know what happened. I think it's safe to assume we just didn't get the real Clairiere that day. And the only way she's running in here is because we're going to get the real Clairiere. So I'm expecting her to run back to her best races, which, I mean, look, in both the Ogden Phipps and the Chuvie, she was better than Malathot. She beat her on the square in the Phipps. They both got a great pace set up. She just made the last move. And then in the Chuvie, she was clearly best. She was in tight down on the inside, couldn't get outside, went back to the rail and ended up bursting through. But never at any point in that race did she travel like anything but the winner. And she broke sharply. She got into the bit. It was a very, very impressive effort, no doubt.
Now, another horse from the Ogden Phipps that's in this field is Search Results. Do you think, is there a certain pace setup that you think will give Search Results a chance here?
I think Search Results is very interesting. And I think she's a horse that a lot of horse players will warm up to, because when you pick apart the races that she's running, there's a pretty decent argument that even though she's been beaten this year by Clarier and Malathaat both, she was best both times. She was on top of that suicidal pace in the Phipps. She ended up putting everybody away. And even in watching the replay, I thought to myself, wow, she looked good with about 2.5 furlongs to go. And the distance just got to be a little bit too much for her. That's really the problem, is that she's really geared towards a mile or a mile and a 16th. So do I think there's a pretty decent chance Search Results turns for home with the lead in this race? I really do. And then we'll see if Malathaat runs her down for what would be a third time potentially, or if Clarier does. But I have no argument against Search Results at all. And I think at what should be that, 9-2, 5-1 type of range, she does become an interesting bet.
Well, there are a lot of great horses in this field and very tight field. Is there anyone flying under the radar that you see here?
I wondered, going into the process of making the morning line, I wondered how much Society might slip under the radar. I think once everybody saw the pre-entries and started taking a look at the past performances, they realized this is an improving horse from the winningest barn of all time. That's the Lone Speed. So she's not flying under the radar anymore. And I tried to price her accordingly. She's a very dangerous horse. I don't know if she's good enough. Obviously, these waters are a lot deeper than they were in the Cotillion last time out, but she was very solid. I had no argument against how she ran that day. I think they're going to do their thing from the outside post and go and take him as far as they can. So I really figure Society is a particularly dangerous horse. And then, of course, the Kentucky Oaks winner, Secret Oath, is probably going to be 15 or 20 to 1 in this race. And I think there'll be people that want to go her direction based on some of her past exploits. It looks to me, though, like we saw the best of Secret Oath, and it was a little bit earlier in the year. It would take a pretty serious form reversal for her to contend.
All right, so you got Malathaat on top, and then let's see for an exacta who you got coming in second.
I would use Clarier and Search Results in the exacta under her, and Nest is just not a horse I'd be looking to bet at what her price will end up being. So hopefully the older mares and fillies can dominate.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for all of your input on the Breeders Cup Distaff. And again, head to TwinSpires.com or download the TwinSpires app and opt into our bet back promo, where you'll get up to $10 back on your win bet if your horse places second or third in all eligible races at Keeneland this weekend. Best of luck.